What's going on, Falcon fan? This is Warrior coming back at you with another video coming back from NOLA, where the Atlanta Falcons unfortunately took a loss to the New Orleans Aints on this Sunday. Well, I said they took a loss, but I think they gave the Aints a win. If you look at my title, um, Atlanta Falcons had a lot of opportunities to win that game. They just could not execute in those moments that we talk about when you think about, a good NFL football team. The Atlanta Falcons came up short in several areas of the game. But so, guys, if you have not heard me, this is Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Like I said, coming back from New Orleans today, um, and I had a blast game. Even though the Atlanta Falcons did take a L in the game, still was probably one of the best games that I've been to. The Atlanta Falcons fans sure was out in force. We kind of took over the city, um, and if you have never been to that game, I recommend going down there and just experiencing that atmosphere against those New Orleans Aints, and that going into the stadium and things like that. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed it. I actually would do it again, even though the Atlanta Falcons lost. Even though Atlanta Falcons gave away the game. Let's just say that. But it was a great experience. We're gonna get into the game day, get into the game plan. If you look at the title of the day, um, so do we need to worry about what we've seen from the Atlanta Falcons? They got a tough game coming up this Sunday against the Denver Broncos, team that has an excellent defense, young quarterback that runs around a lot. Where Atlanta Falcons really struggle trying to contain guys that run around. So it's going to be interesting to see how Atlanta Falcons try to bounce back from that loss they took from the Aints. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that as well. But guys, I definitely want to hear your opinion, what you think about the game. Um, do you think the sky's falling like a lot of people's thinking? Do you think they need to, consider bringing in some competition for Young Wei Koo? He now leads the league in most missed field goals at 7 for the season. So that's that could be a cause for concern. If you guys go back, to beginning of the season during preseason, remember here he missed 3 field goals in preseason as well. Everybody thought that was an aberration, but when you start missing in games and things like that, yes, this is the same guy that made the 58-yard field goal against those same New Orleans Aints in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So you got to just take that with what you think about it. He won that game for us. He have won a lot of games for us. So, but it is time to start to look, and kind of give a little side eye to Cool and be like, hey, you probably need to start, thinking about, dude, he need to bring some competition at least in to make sure he get himself back in line. So that's what we're going to talk about today, guys. So with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here to talk about. And please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get into the first topic today, and that's the breakdown of the game. Of course, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen. We can get some. And there you go. That is the breakdown of the game from our Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Aints. So, looking at it, guys, for what you see from this team. Um, we had 181 rushing yards, which was really impressive. Against that defense. 25 first downs, um, 5 for 14 on third down, which is not that bad. One for two on fourth down. Of course, we know the one we didn't get into the game. We had a total of 73 plays, which we had way more plays than they did. We had 3 sacks allowed on us, of course. One huge one at the end of the game. Um, those 6 penalties hunting us again. Penalties still have been hunting this team. Of course, we thrown an interception in the game, and we hold the ball for at least 11 minutes more than our opponent did. So those are kind of things, guys, when you start to think about from a standpoint where you look at the box score and you try to figure out what actually happened in the game. It was a kind of weird game for our Atlanta Falcons when you put it in perspective of what happened here. But looking at this game, you guys, the Atlanta Falcons just didn't seem like they had everything clicking on all cylinders, especially in that first half. I mean, some uncharacteristic things that happened to them, like giving up explosive plays, 2 explosive plays. I mean, one play in particular, which is just baffling to me, where you have Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, and AJ Terrell, our 3 best defensive backs, is trailing Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Derek Carr hit him right in the pocket. I mean, that's just amazing how that play, happened when you had your 3 best guys out there, and all 3 of them get burnt on one play. Um, Mike Hughes goes down, Clark Phillip comes in, and then he get beat on another big play. And really, guys, if you think about those 2 plays, that's really is really all the plays that the Aints really could get done for those. If it wasn't for those 2 explosive plays, the Atlanta Falcons probably could win this game really easily. But that's why you have to execute. The Atlanta Falcons hold the New Orleans Aints to 3 points in the second half, but we just could not do enough on the offensive side of the ball. If you look at 35 minutes holding the ball, um, I talk about the penalties, huge penalties once again in the red zone, that really hurt the Atlanta Falcons as well. Um, and not executing on some plays. The interception also was huge because we had momentum there, driving the ball down the field. Kurt mentioned he kind of got aggressive there. But I was told I didn't see the play. I was at the game, so I couldn't see it clearly. But I was told that Drake actually got hold on the play, and the refs missed it. So, um, you know, but it seemed like Kurt just threw it right to him. However, after that, we got the ball back on another drop by our opponents. Probably would should have ended the game. Um, Still had a timeout left, with the ball with a minute and 42 seconds left, and Atlanta Falcons had a chance to at least go back up and tie the game, or even go for the win. So, um, you know, this game was really weird. And like, maybe being down in New Orleans and, the voodoo magic, cool missing field goals and things like that. It was interesting because, um, you know, I was chatting with Ain't fans, and that's what I told them. Y'all food poison our guy, um, and that's why he had so many misses on the day. A lot of people say they have never seen him miss that many. Well, he has. We've seen it. Like I said, if you go back into the preseason, it wasn't a regular season game, but Koo seemed like he hasn't been having kind of issues, um, to start the season as well. So this is really interesting. This is going to be interesting to see how. Um, the team handles this. We see how Cool bounces back. He goes up in the high altitude this weekend against the Denver Broncos, and see how that fares. We don't know how the weather is going to be. Guess we probably need to look at it. And when I do the breakdown of that game as well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about injuries. We'll definitely get into um, you know what needs to happen for Atlanta Falcons to get a win going into the bye. The worst thing you want as a team going into a bye is to lose the game, because now you simmer for 2 weeks before you get back out on the field. So um, let's hope that Atlanta Falcons, can get back up off the mat. Definitely don't try to lose that game and get back in the win column. We know they're coming away from a heartbreaking loss. They had the defending champs, going to give them their first loss of the season, and unfortunately the field goal got blocked to end the game. So they're going to come out motivated as well. Two motivated team coming off a loss, probably games they felt like they probably should have won. So this is going to be a pretty good contestants. And we also going up to see our, one of our guys that most of us probably don't like that very much, and that's Nashawn Payton, the guy who, just really gave us a lot of issues when he was here with the AINTs. So, um, but overall, guys, look at the breakdown of the game. Um, you can't pinpoint, based off. Of, I think I guess if I want to look at it, you look at the interception, the 6 penalties, because I think those crucial. Um, and then that those missed field goals. Those are the things that, if we go back and look at this game, things that are correctable as well. If you think about it, you can, discipline penalties and things like that. Sometimes some is questionable, so sometimes it's out of your hands when you come to penalties and things like that. The missed field goals definitely can be corrected. The interception definitely be corrected. Um, and 514 is a little bit under 50%, but that's probably average. 40-something% on third down. We could live with that. We just got to be better, on late parts of the game. And with that being said, let me stop sharing. Um, let's get into some of the key plays of the game, right? Um, so the first key play I want to talk about is definitely in the first half. Um, Play I just talked about with the deep pass to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He only had 3 catches, guys. Let's put that in perspective. Um, all 3 catches was huge, right? The first one definitely was for a touchdown. Like I said, our 3 best defenders is trailing him on that play, and somehow nobody was able to get in there to get the ball. Um, I got to go back and look at the game because one thing I don't understand, the Atlanta Falcons has took pride in not giving up explosive plays, playing 2 high safeties most of the season, having that light box, maybe, some could say that's the reason we have so many issues in our running game. And then this day, the Atlanta Falcons forget about guys going over the top of the head. And on that play in particular, both safeties and our best cornerback all get burned on one play. And it's unexcusable when you think about it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't take it back. But that's just something that you shouldn't see happen, especially in those caliber players. Nothing against Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but he's a journeyman, somebody that didn't even start the season with this team. They picked him up because of injuries and things like that. But for him to come out and have an impact the way he did against the Atlanta Falcons in the first half, that play in particular really is a killer for us. So that kind of ignited their team to get them to go on. You already knew, we already talked about it all week, how they was going to come out and play for their new coach, and because it just fired Dennis Allen, they come out fired up and ready to play, and that play kind of started for them. They thought they had a play earlier with Taysom Hill going down the sideline, but it was holding. It was a correct call by the official pulling that back. That definitely would have cost them, set momentum for those guys. But at the end of the day, the one to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, burning our 3 best defensive backs is just amazing to me. So I think that really is something that you can't oversell or anything like that. So another key play in the game is a penalty. It's actually a penalty, guys, and it's a penalty that they called on Chris Lindstrom, called him a legal block on a run play. We got the ball down to the 1-yard line. Unfortunately, we took a 10-yard penalty, pushed it back to the 20, and believe it or not, on that drive, we came away with no points because that's where Younghoe Koo field goal got blocked, right? So we came away from that drive with no points at all, right? And it started with that penalty. If you believe it a penalty or not, but that's what hurt us. It really pushed us back, and we wasn't able to capitalize on the drive. So that's one of the drives we got in the red zone. Took a penalty, And then we came away, instead of not even coming away with a touchdown, we didn't come away with a field goal either. So that is really, really unfortunate. Um, that was a huge play in the game. So you go to that play with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, you go to the penalty on Chris Lindstrom pushing us back, not being able to get in the end zone, and then the block field goal. It's just a trifecta there. And those are two key plays in the game. There's so many more that you can look at. You can talk about interception on the drive that Kurt and the team was going down. The interception he gave up to um, Tyrann Mathieu, right? You could talk about a missed shot up the seam to Ray McLeod, where Kurt had him up the seam, and it was going to be a tough catch, but Ray was not able to bring that play in. That would have been huge for us, a momentum play as well. So, um, you know, you know, it's so many other. You go to the other explosive play we gave up to Marquez Valdes-Scantling as well, deep pass when Phillips got burnt, right? So, um, and we think that Mike Hughes is going to be all right. Before the season started, we talked about that second cornerback position, but Mike Hughes has really been solid for us all season long. I wasn't even aware that he went out in the game. We saw Clark Phillips in there a lot, but it sounds like he had an MRI done. He had a neck injury, and it seems like he's going to be okay. So they won't have to put him on season-ending injury or anything like that. But that was interesting. To know I did not know he was out the game, but yes, Clark Phillips got burnt on that. And like I said, Marquez Valdes-Scantling had about 100 yards, but he only had 3 receptions, and all three came in that first half. Um, Completely made adjustments in the second half. We never got any more of that, but at that time, um, it really hurt us. So you can pick any of those plays that I talked about. It's probably way more on plays, negative plays you talk about. It was some positive plays as well. But if you're going to talk about, the things that hurt us the most, those are some of the plays when I think about it and go back and look at the game and try to figure out what happened to our Atlanta Falcons this Sunday. Those are some plays that come to mind. Um, that penalty, the interception, the block field goal, all those things to me um, hurt us really bad. So um, take what you will with that. Um, Definitely want to hear from you guys. Let me know what your keys are, what you think the Atlanta Falcons could have did better in, what kind of plays that you think they could have made, to to have a better outcome. But for me, those were the key plays that really hurt our Atlanta Falcons. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Um, Usually don't give out game balls because we lost the game, right? But if you're gonna give out a game ball to anybody, uh, let's give it to Bijan Robinson once again, showing why he was the number 8 overall pick. It seems like he's getting better and better, explosive, and like every time Bijan runs the ball, he is this close from going out and actually breaking something and making sure that you know that he actually about to hit his head on the goalpost. He actually got one this weekend, but it's so many other times you watching the game where you like, ooh man, he just a little the high step. Maybe he need to go to. I was talking to my buddies about this. Go to the high step, like Roger Craig. Pick up your knees a little bit. When you're coming through the holes, you won't get tripped over. Anybody hands or legs or anything like that because he's so explosive. If he can just get past that second level, he's gone. And he finally did in that game. And he just a tough matchup for any team to play. So we need to make sure we continue to feature um, Bijan Robinson. Right, we're going to definitely get into the game plan against the Denver Broncos um, this upcoming weekend, which is going to be tough matchup because Vance Joseph had those guys balling. Um, so we need to be ready for that. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. We talk about that Denver defense, and then of course um, the young quarterback that's going to run all over the field on this on the other side as well. So we'll definitely talk about that. And but right now, my game ball goes to B John. Pretty much can't give it to anybody else. Because just what enough not enough plays made by the rest of the team. The reason why the Atlanta Falcons took the 20-17 loss. So game ball goes to B John. If if you're going to give out a game ball in a loss, that's who I would give it to. But we took the L. So if you don't want to give it to anybody, I can completely understand that as well. All right. The last thing we're going to talk about, guys, is the question I put in the title there. Is there a worry or what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons? So the question is there a worry? But I think the real question that the Atlanta Falcon fans have to make, and you guys out there, myself, what we need to decide is what is our expectations for this Atlanta Falcons team, right? I think we all agree that if they need to make it to the playoffs, that's one of the biggest things that they need to do. Um, is make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, um, that's really going to be huge for them, right? Um, but is that it, right? Do guys have more? Do we have more expectations for the Atlanta Falcons to start making the playoffs? So I put it in this perspective is how Raheem put it. If you make it to the playoffs, you don't know what could happen. You could cut it on and you can go on a run because you don't have to win. What depends on what seed you are, 3 or 4 games and you win it all. So um, it's important to make the playoffs, right? That should be the goal. So if that's your expectations, the Falcons still control their own destiny, right? That's just where it boils down to. Um, you know, they're sitting at right now after 10 games, 6-4. They got 7 games left. They need to win, you know, 4 of those 7 at the most. I would think, that would put them at 10-7. They can win 5 or 7. That'd be 11-6. So let's see, can they get it done? That's where they need to focus at. Um, I'm saying this because if you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule, um, it's an easy schedule for those guys. Now the Buccaneers would actually have to have um, win 3 more games than the Atlanta Falcons, right? So the Atlanta Falcons would definitely have to start losing a lot. So I those 7 games um, for both teams, right? Um, the Buccaneers would have to win 4, and Atlanta Falcons have to lose 4. And because if we end up tied, we got a tiebreaker. So they would have to win more games than the Atlanta Falcons, right? They have to win 3 more games than us. It's just that simple. Um, so it's 7 games left. They would have to win 3 more games than Atlanta Falcons to take over the NFC South. Um, and if you look at the schedule, who they're playing, they can win out. Based on what they're playing, they're going to get Mike Evans back. Um, Probably sometime this season, maybe after the bye, because he only had a hamstring, so he could definitely come back. And you know, we know that's Baker Mayfield security blanket, so they could actually go on a run here. So Atlanta Falcons, yes, right now we got a 2-game lead on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They will have to win 3 more games than us, right? And we will have to lose 4 out of our next 7 games, and they will have to win out. If that happens, then yes, they will be the NFC South champ, and then we would hope we get a wild card spot. So you don't want to look at it like that, but the question is, are you worried? Um, so some of the things that I am worried about, and it's no other way to sugarcoat it, no other way to look around it. After 10 games, the Atlanta Falcons got 9 sacks, right? If you're not worried about that, you haven't been watching football long enough and not understand that that's nowhere near um, in the vicinity of being a good thing for a team that's trying to say they want to win something to have 9 sacks after 10 games. That's just piss poor. So when we talk about you know being worried about something, that worries me, right? And to be honest with you, it's no way they can fix it. right now, but actually just play better. They can't go get somebody, bring somebody in to fix it. Nobody coming back off injury, to say we get this guy back. So it's the guys that's in that locker room. It's the coaching staff trying to figure out how to make them be better. But some way, somehow, the Atlanta Falcons got to start playing better in rushing the passer. They pressured Derek Carr in the game. They didn't get a sack. Yes, they made him have some, throws that was off target and things like that. So look at the pressures; it was good. But for not being able to get the quarterback on the ground like their defense line was able to do for Kirk Cousins and cause a sack fumble, which was really huge, especially the last one they caused. That was a huge play in the game. I think if that does not happen, the Atlanta Falcons at least come away with a tie. I think Younghoe Koo would have redeemed himself. If not getting a touchdown, we would have kicked it in and he would have tied the game up. That's what I do believe on that. So, but that sack was huge. Atlanta Falcons are not generating enough sacks and pressure, guys. It's no other way around it. It's no way to look. Hindsight 2020, because we keep going back to that number 8 overall pick. They could have definitely, invested in that position at the time. Um, Not saying Michael Penix is a wasted pick because he potentially could be the future quarterback for Atlanta Falcons for years to come. So, but for 2020-24 season, right now his pick is not going to help us, and it's just I don't know if it can get any better, and I don't know not getting any better is that good enough for Atlanta Falcons to reach their goals that they want to reach, and that's the question. So if you're worried about anything, you don't have to look any further than to just look at the pass rush. That is something that is really really scary. That was mentioned by the coach Morris that Taquan Graham injury was serious with a pec. James Smith Williams didn't mention what the injury was, but he said it was serious. So we might see some transactions come here soon from those two guys where they might be placed on IR. Don't know. We'll have to see. Troy Anderson aggravated his knee. So more than likely he probably won't go. What's going on, A1 Forever? What you think about our linebacker core? Um, I just talked about Troy Anderson. You asked about the linebacker core. Um, that's a great question. That is a really great question. I think Caden Ellis is playing well, but I think Caden Ellis may be our best pass rusher. So that's 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 a that's where I think he should be. I think he should rush the passer more. If we had a healthy Troy Anderson, um, maybe him and Nate Lemon can hold up the middle a little bit, and that Caden Ellis be a pass rusher, especially in the case now where you see where Taquan Graham, James Smith Williams is going down potentially. We already got Lorenzo Carter out. He was placed on on the IR. So I'm just trying to think about it now. Rashaan Evans, we activated him. Maybe he could come in. We know he's a solid linebacker. I mean, he's not a world beater or anything like that. But it was mentioned that the Seattle Seahawks released one of their starting linebackers. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons can look on him and take a flyer on him to bring him in. But potentially, we think about the run game, especially when you're running a 3-4 defense. When you talk about linebackers, they're the key to stopping the run, right? Because you playing a 3-4, those three linemen, defensive linemen is going to probably get double teamed, which is, and they need to take on double teams, and that lets the linebackers come up and make the play, especially in the run game, which is huge. So our linebacker core, they're not terrible. And be honest with you, I think between Nate Landman and Troy Anderson, they're a little not as healthy as they could be, and that's a little hindrance to them as well. So, but for Caden Ellis, leading tackler for the team right now, he's made a lot of explosive plays, but I think where he is best at is rushing the passer, and that's why I think they should utilize him more, and to try to create those pressures that they're talking about. If you're thinking about if you're being worried about anything, so that's definitely something to think about. and why it could be a concern for being worried. Um, Another thing to think about, guys, is just, I talked about it when we talk about the breakdown of the game, but penalties. The penalties need to be cleaned up, man. And then, like, it always happened in the times where we're driving positively, and we get pushed back because of the fact that a holding penalty, a offsides, or false start, hands to the face, whatever, what penalty they call, but it's take you off track. And people knows this. If it's first down, a holding penalty is 10 yards. Right now, it's 1st and 20. And if you track the success rate at the 1st and 20, especially in the red zone, is because the goal line is your first down, right? So it's tough. It's really tough. The field is condensed. Um, they're allowed to play a little bit tighter coverage because the field is condensed, right? Um, you won't be able to hold the ball as long. So it's a lot of factors in that. One thing you want to do, in the red zone is be able to run the ball. But when you got 1st and 20, kind of take that out your hand as well. So the penalties is something else that Atlanta Falcons need to fix. Um, and those are some of the things that they can shine the light on. When you talk about the pass rush, we talked about that. You talk about penalties, talk about that. Um, the only other thing that the Atlanta Falcons, could think about is, looking at the scheme a little bit and trying to fix things around the edges with the scheme. Um, I mentioned it, the Atlanta Falcons kept 8 defensive linemen, right? That was a huge number when you think about it, especially running 3-4. But one reason, because that was the deepest room that they had, and you didn't want to let anybody go, right? But maybe Atlanta Falcons go to a 4-man front here. I think that would clean up a lot of things. I think it would definitely, in my opinion, would clean up the run game defensively. If they go to a 3-man front, 4-man front, put your best, and I'm talking about guys like Grady, David Umayata, um, pick Big Eddie Goldman in there as well. I think all those things would benefit the team if they would decide to go for 3 instead of that 3-4. They played better with 4-3 last year. I know we had Calais Campbell, we had Bud Dupree, two guys was really solid in the run game, but the strength of this defense, in my opinion, besides the secondary, um, of the 3 guys that got burnt on one play, don't make me rehash that from that game. But our strength of our defense is our defensive line, right? But when you don't have all of them out there. And I think if you put Grady, David, um, Eddie Goldman all out there, um, and then you put Zach Harrison on the opposite side. So Grady's going to play in, Zach Harrison play the other end. You put David Umayata and Eddie Goldman in that middle. Man, I think that's a stout defensive line. I know they got 3-4, but Raheem Morris came from the Tampa 2, right? They all want to play 2 high safeties. He came from the Tampa 2. Um, he played with Dan Quinn, was in the cover 3. Both of those coaches that he played with on both of those teams played a 4-3 scheme. I know he went to Rams and his hybrid ideal and doing things like that, but maybe it makes some adjustments. And maybe they might look at this, during the bye week, kind of looking at it and trying to make some adjustments. Because right now, what they're doing from a defensive standpoint, actually stopping the run and getting pressure on the quarterback is not working to his benefit. Carrie says, Raquando, how you doing? I'm nervous about Denver defense. Falcons offense has to come out swinging. Can't start slow like Sunday. That's a great point. Um, I'm interested to see how our offensive line hold up against the Denver defense. That's one of the things that what kind of dictates how the Atlanta Falcons going to play in this game, right? Now, you can't go off what you've seen from the Kansas City offensive line because they got one of the worst left tackles in the league, right? And so their offensive line, especially from their tackles. Now they got their interior offensive line is really solid from their center and their guards, but their two tackles are not really good, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you're looking at if you look at film from that Kansas City game, don't get too discouraged about that, because those two tackles are really not that good. I think between Jake, even though Drake did give up a big sack, him and Caleb in this past game, but I think they're a little bit better than the tackles from the Kansas City Chiefs. So, and plus, just like the game we've had against the AINTs, that's a rivalry game. So, going to go back and look at other films. Not saying that Denver defense is not solid, because it is 100% solid. They got one of the best cornerbacks in the league. We know that, and Surtain, right? So they got a good team over there in defense, right? And then we got our nemesis on offense, Sean Payton, right? And we know if you don't know anything, he know how to call offensive plays. So we got Bo Nix, who's the wild card, who's going to run around. So this is a huge game for the Atlanta Falcons. The worst thing for the Atlanta Falcons to do is to lose this game and go on a bye week and simmer for 2 weeks, right? That'll suck. So you're right. The Atlanta Falcons need to come out fast. They need to establish the run game with Bijan and Tyler. I think that'll kind of alleviate some of that pressure that Kirk might receive from that defensive front. But they need to start out fast. I agree with you 100%. A1 Forever said Rashaan Evans and Brandon Dorless have to be utilized on defense. If TQ and James Charles are gone, that needs to be on the end and stay there. 100. See, we here. Me and you are here. We are here. You're 100% correct. I agree with you. We need to give Brandon Dorless a chance, right? Especially because he was one of the better pass rushers in college. You go back and look at his tape. At Oregon, he was really, really solid. Slippery guy, being able to get up the field. And I agree with you. He need to get opportunity here. And see what they can get out of him. And then Rashaan Evans is just solid linebacker. Yes, he's definitely had to be utilized more. So we'll see what they decide to do. But I'll put all hands on deck, man. That's what they need to do. I mean, that's why number 51 is getting his burn now as well, D'Angelo Malone, because all hands on deck, man. We got to, if something's not working, you got to do something. At this point, we can actually say, 10 games into the season, the Matthew Judon trade is not successful so far, right? It's not where we wanted to be. It's not how we thought it would be. So looking at the Matthew Judon trade, it's not a good trade so far. It's just not. They start to reduce his snaps, right? Because he's not been producing. The Umber Ebiketie pick seemed like it's just another pick from Terry Fontenot in the second round, where it's not living up to that draft. Being drafted there highly. I mean, Richie Grant. Just go back and look at the guys we picked in the second round so far. Not doing the things that we want them to do. But Umber Ebiketie, he's active, he's out there, but he just don't get to the quarterback. And right now, that's where it is. So, but guys, going back to the scheme, like I think it'll work. That's why we sit here on, I'm talking to you guys on YouTube, and those guys are making a big buck coaching and things like that. And I know that they, from OTAs, community camp to training camp to 10 games in the season, has been working this system. But, it's not working to where it needs to be. And I feel you have the personnel to make adjustments to make it better. And if they do that, I definitely think it will help these guys. But right now, at this point, we're not seeing the returns that we need to see. from this team. We still in the driver's seat, so don't no one should be discouraged and get all up in arms because we lost a rivalry game. It was a rivalry game, and at the end of the day, I felt like we gave them the game. Right, Young Way Cool misses three kicks. Young Way Cool misses three kicks. Um, we have an interception. We have a sack fumble that pushes back to 2nd and 28. We trying to drive down the field to win the game. Um, that costly penalty, like I said, and they gave on Chris Lindstrom when we had the ball at the 1 yard line. It's just, and then we have a block field goal right after that to end that drive. So it's so many things um, that took place in that game where, you know, it was a weird game to like, man, that wouldn't happen twice in a game, but it did, right? And so take this game as a rivalry game. Those guys came out, they was hungry, they was at home, they was trying to get a win, and that's what's up. What's up, Eddie? Haven't heard from you from a long time. A guy, a blast from the past, right? You've been quiet, man. You've been quiet. Um, we know, we know, we feel you. It just went y'all year. Um, just it wasn't y'all year. Carrie says, I don't understand why when D line has struggled, we don't let Rooks get a shot. Rook Rook out here being inactive, then played well. Let's see what. Yes, I agree. I mean, I think he was inactive for like 4 weeks, and he finally got opportunity, and he played really well. And then you got Brandon Dorless. I mean, it's not. You right. The personnel that they got out there is not getting the job done. So you might as well give Dorless a chance. I agree with you 100%. Um, a lot of times rookies don't play because of necessity and things like that. But in this case, um, 9 sacks through 10 games, you need to do whatever you can do. That's the point I'm making. You need to do whatever you can do to try to figure out how to get better production. So you are right. Put the rooks in, man. Let them play. New coach makes a difference. Yes, he did. He made some. He got those guys pumped up, man. They was ready to play. You got to tip your hat off to the AINTs. But they still should have lost the game. I'm be honest, they still should have lost. 3 field goal miss, interception. We had the ball for 11 more minutes. We dominated in the run game. They had 2 explosive plays. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had 3 catches, and that was it. And that was in the first half. We hold them with 3 points in the second half. We should have won that game, but we didn't. So we got to take it on the chin. Trust me, I was there. I heard it. I felt it from the Aints fan. But at the end of the day, we told them we still number one. Y'all won y'all Super Bowl. That's the way we had to, to come back those guys on Sunday because they was down our throat at the game. They was I felt happy for them because there was 2 games, 7-game losing streak, which we actually started. People forget that we actually started that losing streak for the Aints, which I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. Gary said, "Facts are coming. Though. Try anything at this point because clearly we know we're not getting anything working. Like he thinks he pass rush should improve, but halfway through the season, and exactly. I mean, Raheem Morris need to step in, man. I know he don't want to, but he need to. Let me take it back. I'm pretty sure he give him suggestions. I know he's just not sitting back, letting Jimmy Lake do his thing. So he's getting suggestions, things like that. But they need to do something, man. They got to make some kind of change here somewhere to see what they can do. He said, "Show us Darlis. Even if he's bad, we need to see." So we know exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point, Chris. Because if he can't play, we need to know if he can't play. He talked about they have to show it in practice. Well, if you ain't seen it in practice now, that's a concern because a guy you did draft and you decided to keep on the roster. But to your point, if Taquan Brown is out, if James Smith Williams is out, we'll hear about that soon. Because Raheem said it didn't look good. So if they make any roster moves, Brandon Dorless might get his opportunity, right? We don't know what's Rook at as well. Hopefully Rook can make it back. Both of those guys might get an opportunity to come in and do their thing. By business rule, they got to play the money of contracts first. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. It's nothing about no contracts. Tell you how I know it's nothing about contracts? Because I can go back to when the Seattle Seahawks paid Matt Flynn $10 million a year in a contract, and they named Russell Wilson as their starter. So they just wasted that contract on Matt Flynn, but Russell Wilson beat him out in camp. So it has nothing to do with contracts. It's about being able to play. If you can play, you're going to get on the field. All that money talk and all that crap, yeah, that sounds good, and the owner and GM is going to be mad with you. But if you're trying to win games, you're going to play the best player, right? And then you have to figure it out. The Giants are talking about it right now. They gave Daniel Jones all that money, and they saying Daniel Jones might be out, right? He got a big contract. So, yes, the contract is important, and it's huge. But if you're trying to win, because for coaches, you can lose the locker room that way. You got a guy that can potentially be better, but you're not playing it because of contracts and things like that. You'll definitely lose a team real quick like that. So that's fact though, Eddie. I said, yeah, I agree with the contract, but I'm telling you right now, we have seen it where contracts it's not the end all be all. It's not the end all be all. If like I said, the owner come down and say, hey, we paying that man too much money, you better put him out there. I guess there's nothing you can do, but then they need to ensure you that you ain't losing your job because you're gonna lose a lot of games if you're not putting the best guy out there. So already lost Zion Lowe, so Darlis, our only rookie left. Yes. Yep. Somebody poached him. We a different team and different owner. No, that's happened. Yeah, that has happened. You're right. It has happened. DJ definitely sucks, but he played the most important. Yep. Yes. That's correct. Not really became a backup when the backup quarterback salary is around 9.3 million a time. Yes, but I mean, but that was the value of the quarterback back then. I get it. Right now, the quarterback salary is astronomical, so it's not the same. We talking about that was back in when Russell Wilson first came in the league. So yes, the quarterback salary has jumped tremendously, but at the same time, the salary cap wasn't as high as it is now as well. So it's still, equivalent to probably how much that 10 million was taken up of the salary cap. So it's equivalent. It was just a different time. That's the point I'm making. I know now they're making like 40, 50 million in case of your quarterback, 60 million. So, yeah, you talking about Daniel Jones? Yes. Would like to see more or Damone Harris. He's definitely gonna get playing time now, especially with James Smith Williams going down and Lorenzo Carter still on the IR. So you definitely gonna see some more more Damone Harris. You're gonna see more D'Angelo Malone, Armor Ebiketie, Matthew Judon. Hopefully he can get this together. We'll see. I wouldn't compare the G-Man quarterback because they're going to get Daniel Jones, eat Daniel Jones' contract for years. Yep, they're going to have to. Right now, I think they got the Giants picking fourth overall. If you look at if the draft wasn't started today, I think the Giants are number 4. I think Jacksonville is number 1, which we don't know. We know they're not taking the quarterback because they just got paid Trevor Lawrence. He's playing solid. The Titans, they could be in a room for quarterback, right? Um, so it's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, man. You look at the Vegas Raiders, the Tennessee Titans, maybe Carolina. Look like Bryce Young starting to come around a little bit. So maybe they might stick with Bryce Young there. Tennessee Titans probably looking to move on from Will Levis. Like I said, New York Giants, we just talked about that with Daniel Jones. The Vegas Raiders need a QB. Um, the New York Jets probably going to need a quarterback as well. Um, you said 60 million a year. Y'all can call. No, we good. We good. Our quarterback situation. We got our future quarterback. Remember, we took a lot of heat for drafting our quarterback in the number 8th round pick. So, um, we good. We good, man. You can keep Dak. You can keep Dak. I don't believe we can bring them on up again from the practice squad. We have to sign him to, and they might be able to do that now. They might be able to bring him up because um, if one of those guys go on the IR, they'll be able to do that. They can go ahead and sign him to the 53-man roster. So that's a great point, Chris. But I think they might be able to do that. So I guess we'll get a report tomorrow about that and see. Like you say, just saw the Dolphins claim Tyrell Dawson off waivers. Yeah, man. Like who claimed in Yakwe? Somebody claimed in Yakwe too, and I was like, damn, man. And that was a big claim for that team. I forget who it was, but somebody picked him up off the waiver wires. And I think the Falcons was like number 2 in the claim process. So yeah. You said, yeah, they got three or six, so they get the high priority. Yep. Yeah, that's right. The Pats. Yep. They picked Ngagwe up. I mean, I was thinking we can get him because that would have been a free pass rusher, man. I mean, this guy was averaging like 8 sacks a year for teams and stuff like that. And he couldn't even get on the field for the Ravens, so that was crazy. But um, that would have been a win-win, right? Because you would have got him off waivers, and then I mean you wouldn't have had to pay a lot to get him. So, and if he bring any production to the team, that would have been great. That would have been great for us. So, I mean, been great. All right, guys. The last thing I want to talk about Young Waku, right? And is it really time to think about? Is it really time to think about bringing in competition for Young Waku, right? Um, he's not the sole reason we lost the game on Sunday. He's not. He's not the reason we lost the game on Sunday. But I mean, remember the preseason. He missed 3 field goals in the preseason. Now that was an aberration. He also the guy that took us in overtime against the Bucks. He beat the AINTs at home at a 58-yard field goal. So he's that same guy, right? But it's starting to become more frequent that he missed a field goal in the game. And maybe just a little competition there. I'm not saying that we're giving up on Young Way, but maybe you need to start looking over his shoulder just a little bit, man. Because if he make 2 field goals, we win that game. We only gave up 3 points in the second half, and we left 9 points out there. We didn't get in the red zone. I mean, get in the end zone, but we put ourselves in position to put at least 3 points on the board. That would have been a successful drive for this team, and we didn't even get the opportunity to do that. So that's what I'm talking about. Just think about it. Is it a good idea to consider it? That's what we need to do. Karen says, I'm really disappointed in Troy not being able to stay healthy. last season. Now the same thing this season. First game back Sunday, reinvigorate. Yeah, that's really disappointing, and he still got a lot of room to grow as well. So him not being able to stay healthy, is bad because they won't get the opportunity to see how good potentially he could be. We've seen flashes from him last year. We've seen flashes from him this year as well. But you're right, and it's really hurting our linebacker room because it's forcing Kay Nellis to be that middle linebacker where I think his best strength is actually rushing the passer. But if we had, three healthy linebackers that we thought we was going to have, because I think Nate Landman is beat up a little bit as well, and it, we could utilize those guys more. But right, I don't know. I think Troy Anderson probably going to be out this game. The way he limped off the field, um, he probably is going to be out after the bye. But at this point, you're right. It's not enough evaluation. He still need to develop because he's still a raw linebacker as well. Playing so many positions in college, um, he's still raw. He has all the athletic ability in the world to be really, really good, but he can't stay healthy. That's a great point. Um, so I'm worried about Koo. He has won us so many games, and respect him, but it isn't money anymore. Really hope he figures. Yeah, man. Yeah, he already got paid. Um, remember he also, he was cut before by the Chargers, so this is not nothing new for him. Um, but he got to fix it quick, man. Because he almost missed a kick in every game. He leads the lead in missed field goals right now, so he got to get better. Got to get better. I don't see nothing wrong with bringing competition. That's all I'm saying. At least on the practice squad, bring somebody in, and help him get his head back right. Uh, not really, not really. It's continued. And yes, it's hard to find good kickers. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, like I said, I, he he beat the Bucks, right? He helped us beat the Bucks. We beat the AINTs. So I'm not completely out on him, but I'm just saying, guys, you, you know, not going to happen. No comp. This argument will be: is he the one getting more games? He lost. Yep, agree with you on that. Trey's becoming too injury prone. Yes, he is. Just talked about that. Agree. Ellis looked better at the edge. Yes, he needs to play edge, man. He probably our best pass rusher. I hate to say it, but I think Caden Ellis is our best pass rusher right now at this point. He gets the most pressure to anybody, like you said. So, also take a look at holder snapper for Koo as well. Yeah, you're right. It is about the whole operation, um, and see what's going on there. The operation could be bad. I mean, if you remember last game against the Cowboys, um, whatever happened with the hold and snap there, you know, and that could have came back and bit us because we missed the extra point, and the Cowboys was only down 6 instead of 7. If you guys remember that at the end of the game, and that extra point could have cost us, you know, a win if they would have, got their onside kick and went down and scored a touchdown. So, you know, people, take lightly of special teams and field goals because it's so simple, right? You gotta do is, you know, hike the ball, hold it, and kick it in between the uprights. But that operation need to be clean every time, right? And you hear Marquise William, our special team um, head coach, always talking about the operation of that, and he said he does the same thing every kick. It should be the same. That's what you want to be. It should be a repetition thing. Every kick should look the same, no matter how. Of course, you got to put more leg on it for the distance, but the operation should be the same. They need to get back to that. I agree with you. So it's not always about just the kicker; it's the whole operation. You say I love Cool Story. Honestly, I'm rooting for him to get it fixed. I don't think it will hurt to bring in competition. I mean, exactly. That's the only point I'm saying. I think bring somebody on practice squad just to get a look at these guys, man. Because I mean, nowadays, man, you know, with this new kickoff rule, think about it. New kickoff rule, they get the ball at the 30, right? And then they get over to the 40, guys kicking field goals, man. Guys kicking field goals. So that's what, 20 yards, and then guys ready to kick field goals. That's how good these kickers are. So, and believe it or not, 3 points can win games. We lost by 3. We missed 3 field goals. So just put that in perspective. Just put that in perspective when you're thinking about it. Think about it. So guys, like I said, one thing I can tell you about the experience I had this weekend at the AINTs game, that's my first time going. It was an awesome experience. I won't lie to you. For us, the fandom from the Atlanta Falcon fans, we was out there in full force, right? I mean, yes, we was in an away game, but the atmosphere that the fans showed, we took over Bourbon Street. I know you've seen the clips out there. Um, the stadium, we took over the stadium. Yes, we lost the game, but um, it was like a home game away from home. Yes, it was in a hostile territory, but the fan base showed out. We was there in full force. So I recommend, if you've never been to that game, the Atlanta Falcons 8 game, even in the one at home in our stadium as well. It's great experience both ways. It's better when the Falcons win, no doubt about it. But I can tell you this: it's a good experience. Um, New Orleans is, it's a tourist attraction anyway. They got excellent food there and things like that. But going down there during this time, and representing our home team, the Atlanta Falcons, was awesome. It really was. Um, so I see. Thanks for coming on, Carrie. Let's see, can we get that win on Sunday? But guys, I'm telling you, go down there. It's actually a game that I would go back again. Usually, if you guys didn't know, I go to one away game every year. Me and a couple of my buddies, we do that every year. Next year, we're going somewhere in the West Coast, depending on how the schedule falls with that. We've been doing it for the last 5 years. So this year, went to New Orleans. It was a great experience. Oh, I wish the Falcons would have got a win, but we didn't. We gave them a game. So we'll let them have that. We'll definitely let them have that. But great experience. Um, let's hope the Falcons can get back on track. We do not want our team going into the bye week with an L, man. That'll suck. We got a formidable opponent coming up in the Denver Broncos. That defense is really, really good. Bo Nix is going to be a problem because he's a runner. Atlanta Falcons is terrible playing against running cornerbacks. So it's going to be interesting to see. So guys, tune in to me when I talk about that game, the breakdown of that, and we'll get into that as well. But other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you're coming in late and you didn't hear, go back and look at what I thought about, this game. Some of the things that I'm definitely concerned about, from a team standpoint. But at the end of the day, what we want the Atlanta Falcons to do this year in 2024, we wanted the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South. That should have been their number one goal. They're in, position to do that now. They got to continue to win, and they can make that happen. Just like Raheem says, once you get into the dance, you don't know what can happen, man. You can hit the ground running, and you could go all the way, and we can be back in New Orleans again for the Super Bowl. So let's see what they can do. They got 7 games left. But the biggest game now is the game against the Denver Broncos before we go into a bye. Hopefully, we can get some guys back healthy after that. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.